So today I want to talk about recurrent corneal erosions, which I can't remember if I've made a video about this before, but it happened again to me this morning, so it's fresh on my mind, and just wanted to do a quick video about it. So what is recurrent corneal erosion, and how did I get it? Well, the second question is easy to answer. I got it from a traumatic injury when Bryce was 6 months old. I did something really stupid. We were on a long car trip. He was crying in his seat, and I climbed back next to his seat, and I tried to calm him down, and I got my face too close to his hands, and he reacted. I don't think it was intentional because he was only 6 months old, but his fingernails got my they scratched my cornea. I thought it was just gonna be a temporary, transient pain, but we think what happened was he nicked a bit of the superficial epithelium, and it kind of created this flap, and then overnight that flap just kind of ripped off and created this basically pea-sized area of erosion. It was kind of like an open wound on my cornea, and it is one of the most painful things I have ever felt, but it resolves. It doesn't take that long. It took a long time for it to resolve at the time, but when it recurs now, it doesn't take too long. So that's how I got my recurrent corneal erosions. Other people, I think, get them from just having dry eyes, and then you wake up in the morning and your lid is just kind of stuck to your corneal surface, and it rips off a little chunk of cornea. And then what is it? Like I said, it's just ripping off that superficial epithelium that covers your eyeball and exposes the underlying nerves, and it is very painful. It causes not only pain, it really prevents you, it makes you not want to open your eye, but it also causes a lot of tearing, and in me it makes, it kind of brings on a headache, and can lead to a migraine since I'm prone to migraines. So that's the what is it and how does it happen. For me, they tend to recur. I think that mine recurred this morning because I was staring at a computer screen a long time yesterday, and I might not have had enough water. So I try to drink enough water every day, and I try to not look at the computer screen that much. And then every night I have this routine where I take some, there's some Refresh Optive drops. They come in these individual preservative-free sterile containers, and I pop one of those open, and I just kind of drop it in my eye over a period of 30 minutes just to get my eye nice and lubricated. And then I use an ointment called Muro 128 ointment, and I just pull down my eyelid and I squirt a little bit of that in my eye, and hope that I wake up in the morning and I'm able to open my eye. But on the off chance, like this morning, where I could tell, I woke up and I'm starting to learn how to train myself that when I wake up and I feel like something's not right, that instead of opening my eye right away, I even felt it this morning starting to tear off. I took my other eye drops that are just more easily accessible and don't require breaking off an individual tube and trying to find the top, but I use these eye drops, which do have preservatives in them, but I just kind of lay there in my bed with my eyes closed, and I just drop a couple of drops, and I keep my eyes closed for about 30 minutes, and after about 30 minutes I'm able to open my eye, but it's still very painful and very light sensitive. I mean, I still have to get ready in the dark, take a shower in the dark, and then driving to work, I pretty much have to just I'm driving east, so I'm driving into the sun, and I have to drive like this to keep the sun out of my eyes. But, I'm hoping that after a number of years, maybe this will kind of resolve on its own, and I won't experience them anymore, but it was a pretty big chunk of cornea that Bryce took out, so I think it's going to take a while. But I used to have something similar in this eye, not as extreme. This was another stupid thing that I did. I was reading a comic book to Alex in bed, and I was holding the comic book up, just kind of like that, and a page fell down. The corner of the page fell into my eye and nicked a little bit of the cornea, and that one took a couple years to get over. That every now and then I'd wake up and I'd have that recurrent corneal erosion, but it was never as bad as this one because it wasn't that big of an erosion, and I didn't have to use any eye drops. I didn't have to have any sort of nighttime routine. It was just, I didn't even have to keep my eye closed. I would just wake up. It would be a bit painful for about 30 minutes, and then it would resolve. But this one was more intense, more traumatic. So in the meantime, I just try to keep Bryce's fingernails cut short because he's still very, nowadays he's 18 months old. He tries to grab everything. He's very bad about grabbing at people's faces, and especially the eyes. So although I don't think it was intentional at the time, it's certainly very, makes me very nervous to handle him nowadays, and I am always aware of where his hands are, and I try to warn other people that he's very grabby with his hands. Sadie's the worst though, because she gets right into his face and he frequently goes after her eyes, but I don't think she's had anything serious happen yet. But eventually, if this doesn't resolve, there are other treatments. Right now I'm just doing the conservative treatment of just keeping the eye frequently lubricated and using the nightly regimen of Muro 128. But down the line, if I ever needed to go further with some more, with some different therapy, then they have other options available, such as punctal occlusion, which I believe is where they put a plug in the tear duct, and that just prevents your tears from draining, so it just allows the eye to stay lubricated longer. Also, some surgical intervention, such as stromal micropuncture, which I think is where they put a bunch of different punctures in the area of the erosion, and that process by itself promotes better healing and replacement of the epithelium. And then there's also superficial keratectomy, although that's more for patients that have erosions in the visual axis. So mine is not in the visual axis. Mine is, it doesn't affect my vision. It's on the very medial side of my eyeball, so it doesn't fall over my lens. But the keratectomy is basically where they debride the epithelium and then allow it to re-epithelialize, which that sounds painful to me also, and I'm hoping that I never have to go through that. If they ever have to do the punctal, or if they ever have to do the micropuncture, they're gonna have to give me something to relax, because anything coming near my eye, even when they try to measure my intraocular pressure, I'm gripping the seat, and I just don't like anything coming near my eye. And then I'm also just very light sensitive, so they would have to give me something to seriously relax me for that one. But anyway, that's my experience with recurrent corneal erosions. In summary, happened from trauma, and the main things that I have to try and do to keep them from recurring are to keep myself hydrated and just keeping my eyes lubricated nightly with an overnight ointment, and then if I do experience a recurrence in the morning, to just add some drops before I open my eyes so that my eye gets nice and lubricated, so that I can separate the lid from the cornea, and the lid opening itself does not tear the cornea off just by the action of opening the lid. So hopefully, if you do have any experience with recurrent corneal erosions, you have found some similar ways to relieve them. And feel free to comment down below if you do have any experience and how yours came about and what you do to treat them. I'm always looking for new ways, besides what I do for myself. And I think that, you know, I have found videos of other people who have experienced recurrent corneal erosions helpful. So hopefully you find this video helpful too. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.